the prognosis on Allen?
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that and see how it heals throughout the course of the week.
Matt, when did Dave's knee pop up, and is that a concern beyond just this past game?
Well, yeah, anytime a guy doesn't play in a game, and he got through the week of practice, and, Saturday he came in and wasn't feeling right. So we knew there was a possibility. I think we were all hopeful that he'd be able to give it a go, and we went out and they worked him out in pregame and didn't feel like he could go. So we were kind of in that situation.
You said early in the season that even when he was a full-time player, he wasn't going to practice 3 days in a row. Why did that change? And in reflection, did you guys maybe push him a little too hard?
Yeah, I think it's more about balancing the workload. It's the total overall workload. So he's been limited every day. He it just kind of got to that situation where he wanted to practice, and so it's unfortunate that it went that way. But we've been doing that the last couple of weeks, and he's been able to play at a pretty good level. He was playing pretty well, and certainly never want to, we're a better offense with him, no doubt about it.
So how do you think the shuffled deck did up front?
I thought, going against a pretty good front, I thought they played pretty well. It wasn't flawless by any stretch, but for the most part, did pretty good. I know we were kind of getting the ball out really quickly in a lot of instances to not allow that front to kind of wreck the game. And, there were a couple plays where we had some miscommunication where we should have gotten a little bit more in the run game that kind of set us back. But I thought for the most part it was pretty decent.
Can you take us through what 24 hours or whatever it is? I mean, you have the whole game plan, figuring Dave's going to play, and then you have to adjust. Was it a small adjustment, big adjustment? How did that process take place?
Let's just say I was a little bit later getting out to the pregame warm-up than typical, shuffling some things around, but it is what it is. That happens throughout, in a game. That may happen, and that's even more chaotic. But it was, at least you had some time to kind of reorganize some things. Obviously, it didn't necessarily help us. It's not like we were very productive offensively. So, it just, we got to play better, no doubt about it. And just the little details are what bothers me. We had illegal formations, covering guys up, 2 men in motion at the same time, the fundamentals of playing with your hands inside. We got called for a couple holdings. So it's just all those little things. We had drop balls. It's just all that stuff adds up. It's all the little details. And when you don't go out there and play with great fundamentals and do all the little things right, it's hard to win a game in this league. And we just put ourselves behind the sticks way too many times.
So I was looking for the call sheet, and I'm sure, maybe I'm oversimplifying here, but I would assume with Dave playing the way he has, you're probably not helping him much, if at all, on any plays. Now Zach comes in. You just lose a whole chunk of your play sheet because this play was supposed to be Dave going solo, and now you can't do that, or does it not work that way at all?
No, it definitely, there were some plays that definitely got ruled out. That I don't care who you're putting over on that left side. Montez Sweat he's a really good player. So there was going to be some chips regardless of whether Dave was in there or not. But certainly there were some plays that we made just kind of one-way plays to account for that, and certainly didn't want to put Zach in a tough position. I commend him for his ability to go in there and play the way he did. So I thought he did a nice job.
Matt, if I could follow up with Dave, I get that he wants to practice, but obviously you guys need him on the field. Will you be going back to those scheduled days off so he's not practicing 3 days in a row? Or are you comfortable with where it's at right now?
Well, I think that's definitely a discussion that's going to be had with all of us, myself, Dave, our medical staff in terms of, what's best.
We met late in the first quarter at a play where Aaron bootlegged out to the right, and Romeo, I think he was from the slot right, took it up this way, and Aaron threw it that way. Is that like one of those miscommunications or missed routes that he was talking about after the game?
No, so we ran a keeper, and we actually got called for a holding penalty, so it would have been negated regardless. We ran a keeper, and we tagged the corner post on it, where Rome stems in, up, and runs the post. Well, they busted the coverage, and there was nobody, in that deep third or deep half of the field. And I think these are some of the things that you're just going to go through with younger players. And, you would love for him just to notice that there's nobody out there, throw his hand up. But I can't fault him for that. I think he's trying to do everything perfect. And, I think that's just something that comes with experience, where guys might see that void and throw your hand up and go catch a touchdown. But it wouldn't have mattered regardless. We got called for a holding penalty, and was first and 19 or first and 20. Sorry.
So being behind the chains, is that as much accounting for just 12 rushing attempts as anything?
Well, first of all, they counted a couple of those runs as passes. I was like, man, we targeted Aaron Jones 10 times in the pass game. But 2 of those for sure were so, and one was a 12-yard gain, the other was an 8-yard gain. But really, when you look at it, because trust me, I've gone back and looked at every call very, very critically in terms of, run it, pass it, whatever. And I think we had 40 plays before we went into 2-minute mode. And of those 40 plays, I want to say we had 18 run called. Now we're some of those we threw the run solutions, which were pretty effective. We did it. Matter of fact, on the lone touchdown drive, our second drive of the game, we hit Allen on a little stab route where Romeo did a great job cracking the safety coming down and got like a 12-yard gain on that. So, and just looking at the effectiveness of those run solutions, every one of them was effective. So I want him to take those opportunities. But, you got to do a better job. We got to do a better job on third down. And you're right. Are your runs going to get limited a little bit more when you're sitting there and you're in 1st and 20 or you're in 2nd and 16? I want to say it was the third series maybe. We started off with a run and we lose 6 yards right off the jump. Matter of fact, we tried to run it after that. Ironically enough, we ran a draw and we got called for holding. So now it's 2nd and 25. It's just we put ourselves in so many bad situations that it was hard to get it going. And it's more about we did try to get 33 the ball in other ways. Ran a screen to him on the second play of the game. Then we definitely spit it out to him a little bit in the pass game. He made a heck of a catch, on the off schedule, turning it up the sideline. That was an unbelievable play it was great. It was a great ball, but it was a great catch by Aaron Jones. So, we're going to try to get him the ball, and but we need more plays. You need more opportunities. You need more than. I think there were 6 minutes left in the game. We had 40 plays.
Matt, we ask you every week basically about getting 33 the ball. I'm sure that it's fun for you, but we had 18 carries and targets on the 47 plays that you did have, which is about 40%. I don't know how you view that. That seems like a lot. At some point, does it come down to other people around him stepping up and making plays too, especially when you are giving him a high usage rate like that?
Yeah, I think collectively we've got to do better, and we've got to coach better, and certainly, again, like the detail of how we're doing some of the things we're doing is just not to the level of winning football in the National Football League. So, I guess there's positives and negatives to it. The negatives is we're sitting here at 3-4. The positive is I think a lot of this stuff is correctable. So, but there's got to be. I think our players are urgent with it, but it's got to be better, and it's got to get better like yesterday.
I understand you only had 47 plays, but you were in the shotgun for 38 of them, or 39 of them. Is that because Aaron can't take snaps with that thumb and it's gonna cause him pain, or is that because you want to play that way? Because that does not strike me as the staple of the offense that we all learned when you got here.
Yes.
It's the hand.
No, I mean, that certainly it has played a little part into it, but I don't want to sit up here and make an excuse for it. So it is what it is. We're going to do whatever we can to put our guys in the best position possible, and and you gotta always adapt, I think, to the circumstances in front of you.
Okay, I don't want to use inappropriate words again like last week, so let me just say this. Is that the way you want this offense to run? With that much
Potentially, there's some games like we go back a couple weeks ago, that where you recognize when teams are going to have some gun checks, and so yeah, potentially it could be. I think it's fluid. It's every week could be a different deal in terms of how you want to attack somebody.
So I'm sorry to keep asking. I'm just trying to understand. So what made this offense so good in part is that you have this incredible play action game, right? Where, and I'm not ripping previous administrations, but there were times where they used play action that looked nothing like an actual run that they would run. You guys married that up, and teams had a hell of a time figuring it out. What is your play action game right now, and is that something that maybe you could hang your hat on if you could run it the way the offense is designed?
Yeah, potentially. Certainly, I think that a lot of our pass game right now has been spitting the ball out quickly for some of those run solutions, and we're looking at it, I promise you, very, very closely in terms of how we think we can move the football, because I don't think anybody wants to be where we're at right now from an offensive standpoint, and in order to get more plays, we have to do a better job being more manageable third downs and convert when those opportunities are there.
The defense held after the muff punt, but even the field goal, obviously, 23-21 game was a pretty big deciding factor. Are you going to make a change at punt returner after Amari Rodgers put the ball on the ground twice the past 3 weeks? If not, how long is the leash at this point?
Yeah, no, I think that's something that we're going to evaluate for sure. We are evaluating, we're talking about it in terms of what we want to do in that regard. Certainly, I think we do have a lot of confidence in Amari, his ability to field the ball, but you can't put the ball on the ground. He knows that, and he feels awful about it, but it is what it is, and we got to get better, no doubt about it. And I think that when I think about our defense this last game, I thought the first half we played pretty well. They were able to get a couple explosive runs on that touchdown drive, where we gave up the edge, where we're in really good position and we peek inside and then the ball bounces outside, and you can't do that. And I love the effort that which we raked the ball out, and on the challenge, I think it was a 25-yard gain or something like that. But it didn't go our way, and then you have them in a 3rd and 8 situation. That's tough on an offense. 3rd and goal in that situation, we got to play it better. And credit to them, they had a good play design and were able to hit the post over the top of us.
What inspires the confidence in Amari fielding the ball when it's something he struggled with last year? It hurt you, obviously, yesterday. Is it just no other options there, or what inspires that confidence?
Yeah, I think the confidence comes from the practice and what we see on a daily basis. And if you guys were out there for our special teams periods, much like throughout training camp, I mean, those are as live as it gets now. Those guys are going hard, and but yeah, we're gonna definitely take a look at that.
I don't want to assume incorrectly, but did you guys start Yash on the right? Maybe just because that's where he practiced all week, because you were anticipating Dave on the left, and it was too late to flip him back by the time you realized Dave couldn't play?
Yeah,
Okay, and so because I guess this week proves that you just never know when Dave's going to wake up and not feel good, do you have to work Yash more on the left if you want him there instead of Zach in the future?
yeah, I think, yeah, that is one of the challenges, and, in terms of planning for a week. And, you know, you're trying to get the guys the reps that they need in the correct spots. And certainly we did a lot of reshuffling on the line last week, you know, moving Elton to left guard, and then, you know, Runyon to right guard. And yeah, we just felt like that was for the situation that we were in. That was the play. And then we were going to adjust if we needed to in the game, if we needed to kick Yash back to left, and then go whichever direction we were going to go with right tackle.
Defensively, what's the problem in the second half? Not just this game, but it seems to be a pretty chronic problem where you play a good first half, and the second half you really have a hard time stopping them.
Yeah, no, that was that's something that we looked at, and it's definitely the consistency that which we play, and gave up a lot of third down conversions in the second half. I think they had some long drives, 15-play drive, and you know, I think the penalties are again kind of, we had some situations where I think it was 2nd and 6, we get a TFL, it's about to be 3rd and 7, we get called for a defensive holding, first down. So you know, we gotta do a better job of making sure we get all 11 guys on the same page, doing their responsibility, because there were some times where we had some miscommunication, and that stuff that leads to drive extending plays and explosive plays, and you can't have it.
The simpleton viewpoint, which would be mine, obviously, would be the defensive game plan is really good in the first half because it works, and then at some point the other team adjusts to it, and Joe hasn't had the counter to that. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I guess that'd be the outside viewpoint.
Well, we kind of adjust. I mean, we got super aggressive in the second half with a lot of cover zero. So, I mean, we definitely did adjust, but it just was obviously not quite enough. And I think, what I say, 7 drives in the first half, and we given up 10 points. I mean, that's a lot of possessions for an offense. So we got to do a better job playing complementary football, because it's not at the standard that is sustainable for winning. I mean, there's moments here and there and in every phase, and but the consistency at which we go out there and play and coach, and it just hasn't been there.
Matt, with Randall out, you're still waiting on Christian to rehab and wait and see mode with Allen. What do you kind of feel like is the state of your receiver core right now? And along those same lines, what did you see out of Samora yesterday in his first action?
Yeah, you know, it's definitely not where we want it to be in terms of that room, but injuries are a part of this game, and you got to adjust, you got to adapt. It's not the first time we've gone through this before here, so we got to get some guys ready to play. Bottom line, and it doesn't matter who it is. The expectation does not change ever, and there's a high standard in terms of what the expectations of what our players and coaches and everybody in this building feel, as well as our fan base. And so when those expectations aren't being met, the bottom line, it's not good enough, and we got to find some solutions. So.
Aaron said, somebody asked Aaron after the game if he needed to do more outside the pocket and off schedule. He said that he thought maybe he did. Again, I'm not Lee Rummel, historian here, but in 2018, we were at a point where that was the only thing that was really working offensively. Is that something you want to see him doing, or do you want to let the offense work the way it's designed, as opposed to doing a lot of off-schedule stuff almost on purpose?
Well, certainly you'd like to get guys open in rhythm. I think that's your goal as a coach. If any time the play has to go off schedule, I feel like it's a crappy play call. So that's not what we want to have happen. And now, don't get me wrong, off-schedule plays are gonna happen in this league. And certainly if the more man coverage we get, then we need guys to win. And that's just, I mean, that's football 101.
You're at the 46-yard line for the last play. Is the thumb the issue that you can't throw a Hail Mary there, or what was the process?
No, they blitzed us. So, and we knew that going in. We knew that there was a potential in their Hail Mary defense that they might pressure us. So, yeah, you could say you got to try to extend the play. I think usually, especially when you got a good front in front of you as well, I would say a lot of times you're not going to have the time to allow those guys to get all the way down the field. So I thought he did a good job of you know, peeking to Bobby and alerting him in that situation. And anytime you get into the rugby type mode, the whole key is we got to get the ball going. Like, you got to get it started and get as many yards as you can before you flip it back. And I thought our guys did a pretty darn good job in that situation. I know it wouldn't have mattered because we got called for an illegal block or whatever by Yash. But anyway, I thought they executed as good as they could have, you know, or not as good as they could have, but pretty well. And, you know, we had a shot. I mean, when you watched it, that you had the ball in the quarterback's hands with, and I know he got hit on the play, but you got Runyon on the left side. It's like, holy cow, that was as close as one that I've been a part of in my career to potentially having a chance.
But it wasn't designed to do that. That's not what you chose over Hail Mary. That was because of...
It was because of the look that happened. And matter of fact, we got, if you remember, we played Kansas City at the end of the half in 2019, they did a similar look, and they brought pressure, and we got sacked. So, you know, that's always been our answer, is to, like, hey, let's just give ourselves a chance instead of, you know, ending the game with your quarterback on his back.